So you may have heard about the recent fiasco with the whole Star Wars Battlefront 2 and EA. EA was going to put loot crates or microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2, and these weren't the good microtransactions you may be thinking of. So they weren't ones that just let you get little skins or color swaps and different characters that are just skins. They were actually ones that were going to allow you to get different abilities, different guns, etc. So maybe those weren't originally in the game, but then you can buy them through loot boxes, or maybe you'd be able to get these guns or weapons much more faster instead of you just leveling up. And that's not a good feeling for gamers, and Disney did not agree with that business model as well. So recently Disney told him to not put those loot crates and those microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2. So there is no microtransactions anymore in Star Wars Battlefront 2 because some companies were pressuring EA to remove them from the game. So that's good news. But recently there's been a new posting online from the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal is basically making fun of gamers, saying that gamers should be paying for these loot crates or microtransactions, and that video games are pretty much the cheapest form of entertainment. And then they go on to say that they pretty much price out the price per hour, how much it would cost to play the game over time, and that video games are a very good deal if you were to buy one at $60. And they're making fun of gamers for all that backlash that they had towards the new Star Wars Battlefront 2. But honestly, if you were to ask me, I think gamers had every right to complain about the loot crates in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Do you really want to pay $60 for a game and then feel like you're forced to buy these microtransactions because you can't beat other players online just because they got better weapons or better skins than you? And there's people out there that could afford them, and then for instance there's people out there that can't afford them, and then your experience is going to be ruined just because you can't afford to buy these loot crates or buy these microtransactions because you're broke and somebody else does them. And then even if you did buy them, do you really feel good about yourself beating somebody online just because you have better equipment than them that they couldn't get? So I think what I'm saying is, I think every gamer out there has a very good reason to complain about these microtransactions and loot crates being in games. Honestly, I don't think they should be in $60 games. I think they should be removed overall. It's one thing to have them, like for instance in a mobile game or in a free-to-play game, but in a game that's $60, I don't think it's a very good idea. If you want to throw out loot crates or microtransactions that are just going to alter the game's skins or colors and things like that, that is a-okay with me. But having actual benefits of actually paying for this stuff and getting like weapons and things that'll actually make you play better in the game is just not a good feeling from the gamers. So I can understand why people would be complaining about this whole fiasco. Overall, this thing is just a very big mess, honestly. I hope loot crates go away in the future, especially for the $60 games, and especially if they're charging for you to get better at the game, which is not good. It'll just give a unfair advantage. So I don't know why, I do not know why Wall Street was throwing shade at gamers. Gamers have every reason to complain about this whole fiasco with the Star Wars Battlefront 2 and things like that. Honestly, I know this might sound a little bit crazy, to be honest, but this whole thing is kind of getting out of hand. Not just with Star Wars Battlefront 2, people complaining, Wall Street saying that we're wimps for not actually going through with these microtransactions and things like that. How games are being the most cheapest entertainment out there on the market. And also another one that was pretty kind of shady and people were mad at was that Shadow of War game. That Shadow of War game people were mad at as well. Honestly, if you were to ask me, I think they should just remove these loot crates that actually make you play better, and what they should do is actually just charge a little bit more for the game. I know it sounds ridiculous that games are already $60, but when you're buying a lot of games per year, the price of games becomes very, very expensive over time. Sure, if you actually priced out the $60 games and how much hours you'd be playing the game, Wall Street may have a point, and they may be right about how it is the cheapest form of entertainment, but if you're buying a lot per year, which most gamers tend to dump a lot of money into gaming, then it's going to cost you a lot of money. So that's not good. Honestly, you charge maybe $65, $70 for a game instead of $60. You remove the loot crates or these microtransactions from the game, and I think more gamers would be happy. I don't know how many people would want to pay up for it, and I know it sounds really, really crazy, but the way things are going, and if it's going to be a business model like this where they're just going to put microtransactions and things in the game that are going to help you win the game, then I don't think it's absolutely fair for the consumers and for the gamers. Just charge more for the game. Sure, it may be a good value at $60, but just charge more for the game, and then I think some people would be happy about that. It would fix this whole thing, and people wouldn't be so devastated on this thing, which is unfair. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.